From the other side of the Footlights, here is WHRO FM critic M.D. Ridge.
April 17th was a nasty, miserable, rainy night for the Norfolk Chamber Consort's Two Rivals concert, but almost no seats remained at Chandler Hall, and audience members were well rewarded for their perseverance. The Two Rivals title referred to the great Russian composers Sergei Prokofiev and Dmitri Shostakovich. Andrei Kasparov, artistic co-director of the NCC, noted that both composers were comfortable in any genre, orchestral, operatic, you name it. Prokofiev was extroverted, arrogant, condescending, and sarcastic. Shostakovich was introverted, neurotic, and very shy. The first work on the program was Prokofiev's 1943 Sonata for Flute and Piano in D major, with pianist Oksana Lutsishin and flutist Wela Shambo. Yes, the Wela Shambo who hosts WHRO's Afternoon Delights. The first movement, Moderno, featured challenging quintuplet runs in the sort of melody that seems artless but is carefully thought out and performed. The piano, spare at first, got bigger and fuller. The flute repeated bottom to top arpeggios, while the piano was very rhythmic and declarative. A long, chiffy, low note was the perfect ending. The scherzo movement was challenging for both instruments. The final movement sounded a little like something from Prokofiev's Romeo et Juliet, bits the composer might have written for the daring, dazzling Mercutio. Lutsishin's piano solo passage was powerful. When the concerto was over, I just wanted to hear the whole thing over again. The Invincia duo of Kasparov and Lutsishin performed Shostakovich's 1953 work Concertino for Two Pianos in A minor. It was very in-your-face, touching all the bases from a low sustained growling to a jaunty treble melody, martial at times and very intense. Lutsishin returned for Prokofiev's Piano Sonata No. 5 in C major, whose first movement set rippling arpeggios against powerful chordal melody with big angular leaps and an unusual cross-handed section. The Andantino had a weirdly martial air, and Lutsishin's incredible left hand ruled the final movement with power to spare. The final work on the program was Shostakovich's 1940 song cycle from Jewish folk poetry, sung in Yiddish for the first time in this country. Shostakovich, who had always loved Jewish folk music, sent the Russian translation of a collection of Jewish folk songs, but because of Stalinist anti-Semitism, the composer kept it pretty much private until 1955, 2 years after Stalin's death. Kasparov, who retranslated the original Yiddish, said the Russian translation kept the rhythm of the original text, something very difficult to do in a translation. The tragic Lament for a Dead Child was sung by mezzo-soprano Stephanie Marks and soprano Bridget Eversole with superb blend. The two alternated on the verses of The Thoughtful Mother and Aunt, a sort of satirical lullaby with Eversole and Marks weaving together the sinuous melodic lines of Lieu. In Lullaby, Marks's rich, dark voice was perfect as a heartbroken mother whose husband was imprisoned in Siberia. Eversole and tenor Brian Nedvin sang Before a Long Parting, in which Avram reminds his love of things she had said to him, and she replies sorrowfully, "How will we live now, me without you, you without me?" Eversole's solo in Warning was a concerned warning to a young girl about the dire dangers of dating. Nedvin and Marks returned with The Abandoned Father, an argument in which a young Jewish girl has converted, wants to marry a Gentile policeman. Her desperate father offers her clothes, jewels, and a more suitable Jewish husband, but she refuses, and he grieves. Nedvin's solo, The Song of Misery, was a deceptively cheerful song of a goat eating straw off the roof while a child sleeps in the attic. For Winter, Nedvin sang the father's desperate poverty, and Marks and Eversole were the wordless voices of the powerful icy winds. The last three songs sprang from Shostakovich's second Annunciation, which demanded he write only proletarian music. He added 3 songs to the cycle, songs that extolled the joys of Russia's collective farming. Nedvin's A Good Life contrasted the singer's life in a cramped basement with his new life on a, quote, happy collective farm. Beautiful but bitterly ironic. In the girl's song, Eversole sang about being happy, endlessly happy on the collective farm. In Happiness, Ned Van Marks and Eversole were wonderful, an exuberant shoemaker's wife enjoying her night at the theater, quote, like a rich person, and exulting that the Soviet power has given her happiness. All my sons have become engineers. Presumably the composer's critics did not catch the satiric overemphasis. Wonderful voices, wonderful music. From the other side of the Footlights, I'm M.D. Ridge.